graphics. You're going to have to give them to me.
I've got them. I've got them. And I'm not waxing poetically today. I know you're sad about that. You know I have fun with you, dude. But I think I'm going to have something decent. Something decent for the audience today. Maybe. Wow, this chair is leaning back. Oh, hey, Scott, can you hear me? Okay, I do have...
Yes, I can.
So, okay, I'll share some photos of the astrophotographers I'm going to shout out to today. Mm-hmm. And then it will come, if you wanted to do the Chapel Hill, I have 2 photos from that event. It's like they go to a state park, they camp for a week.
Okay.
It sounds really fun, and I just know that guy is going to, if he sees this, he's going to be really, really happy because he really likes you. So that'd be awesome.
Right.
You might shut your door, Scott, because I can hear them talking in the foyer. I don't know if you heard me or not.
Wait, did I just get off the Zoom?
Yep.
Hey, motherfucker. I didn't know that was online on the website. Yeah, but okay, whatever.
You can see it. I got this camera, so when you're looking at the computer, I got you.
Okay.
So look at your screen.
Okay, yes, sir. Hey, I didn't hear anything.
All of the features around here are very smooth. The tops of the mountains are rounded off. There are no sharp, jagged peaks. There are no large boulders apparent anywhere. The whole surface of the area appears to be smooth, with the largest fragments I can see are in the walls of Pluton. There are no boulders at all on St. George, Hill 305, Bennett, or as far as I can tell, looking back up at Hadley. Hadley's sort of in the shadow. It's a gently rolling terrain completely around 360 degrees hummocky, much like you saw on 14. Okay, coming on around to St. George, it again is a very subtle old crater, but in this case I can see some lineaments running, dipping to the west at about 20 degrees, parallel to the rim of the crater. These two are very small, less than 1%. And continuous parallel. The rim of the crater is very subdued and smooth.
Just out of curiosity, could you see any sign of the south secondary cluster?
There's a gentle rise just to our south, and I don't see anything that's really prominent as far as elevation.
Sounds like it may well be hidden behind a shallow ridge there.
Oh, we'll just have to go look for it.
The terrain around the Curiosity rover is beginning to look very different. The rover has driven over 16 miles since landing in Gale Crater in 2012. This view is from 1,500 feet above our landing site. We're climbing the side of Mount Sharp, a very tall mountain in the center of the crater. All of this dark material is Martian sand that's made up of broken bits of volcanic rock. Can you see the ripples that were shaped by the wind? We had to drive around this massive sand sheet as we climbed Mount Sharp. Look how clear the air is. That's because it's winter, when there's less dust in the atmosphere. You can see all the way to the rim of Gale Crater, which is about 20 miles away. We spent the last several years investigating clay-rich rocks that formed in lakes. But now we're entering a region where rocks are filled with salty minerals called sulfates. These minerals form in drier conditions, so we think this area might show us how the ancient Martian climate was changing. We're starting to see lots of very cool, knobbly textured rocks like these. We think these veins and nodules were created by groundwater. Here we recently drilled our 30-second sample of the mission. By studying the chemicals and minerals in this rock, we can learn how the ancient environment was changing as we go from the clay region into the sulfate region. And these hills are different from anything we've seen on the lower mountain. They're rounded, unlike the ridges and mesas we've seen before. Now let's look ahead to where we're going. We'll soon be entering a narrow valley that should make for some amazing images. On the left is Rafael Navarro Mountain, named after one of the mission's scientists who passed away in January of 2021. This nearby hill is huge. It's about the size of a 4-story building. This changing terrain is more than just fun to look at. It can teach us how Mars lost its water over time. How long did conditions that were favorable to life last? We're looking forward to finding out.
for them. Tell them you can't hear them.
Hey, Scott, we can't hear you, bud.
Can't hear me. How about now?
Oh, now we can.
I was introducing you. Anyways, our 9th episode of Focus on Astrophotography, and we are here today with, right now we got Ross, but Cameron will be coming on soon. So, Ross, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. Well, I'll do my best, Captain Roberts. As you can see, I don't have my partner with me here, Mr. Chuck, but I can report he's safe. He's making it along his journey to the California Nebula. It's sometimes, interstellar travel can make you not feel so good, but I'm here with you all passengers. I want to know, I hope your nap was okay. Where did y'all go during your week? I'm pretty excited, passengers, because I've got a bunch of data. All right, we found our coordinates, we know where we're at, and I've got a bunch of data now about where we went over the last week while you guys have been sleepwalking. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, show you what the mothership has picked up on its on its week of travel. And so here we're going to start. Now, these pictures are all from some incredible passengers aboard our mothership. And this one, this enormous 20-inch plane wave you see here, this helped us take off. This really helped us blast off. It is John Hayes's telescope, and he has been working and building to put that scope together so it can be ready to get on a boat and go down to the Atacama Desert and start taking some of the best pictures any of us will have ever seen. So, John Hayes, thank you for getting us to take off. And of course, the first thing we flew by was the moon, and this is another great guy. I've had tons of conversations with him, and he is just a tremendous person and astrophotographer. Michael Figgenbaum, thank you for capturing these pictures of the moon so we could figure out where we were. But we started going through, and we started going by all these planetary nebulas, and we saw a lot last week. And they're fascinating. Planetary nebulas are super fascinating, but on our journey, we were able to witness some of the newest discoveries. And so these next few pictures that the mothership has acquired, they come from Marcel Drechsler, and he is the world's greatest discoverer at the moment, a true explorer. And look at what he's found us. I'm not sure what names these have, and maybe they still need to be named, but you can zoom in, and it's a lot of work. A lot of these pictures are an incredible amount of integration time. Here's another one. Just beautiful HA regions, oxygen regions that had never been seen before.
Looks
many
ghostly.
Of these, he's
Looks
discovered
ghostly.
3 or 4 just this year alone. So if you thought, man, there's nothing left to discover, everything that's there to see has been seen, Marcel Drechsler from Germany will prove you wrong. Here's another one of his, new discovery. This one I brought on board because it was recently named here on the show last week. We got to name our own nebula, thanks to Douglas Struble and his tremendous picture. So this, I can't even remember what that other name for it was, but its real name is the Horseshoe Crab Nebula. Thank you to last week's guest, Douglas Struble, for putting something up in the sky for us. This is another new discovery, again, from Marcel Drechsler. I wish somebody else could discover something, but he seems to be getting them all. I think he did already name this one, so it's too late for that, guys, but I believe this one was called the Beehive? Yeah, the Beehive Nebula. And then, of course, I just wanted to show you this one. If you know anything about dark nebulas, the LDN catalog, they're tremendously difficult to capture. And getting the brown takes a lot of work. And so this picture is a tremendous picture and deserves all the credit for helping us.
Who did that image? Same guy with the
Yeah, he
discoveries.
did this
Oh, wow.
one as well. Marcel
Wow.
Dreschler. He's got his own website.
Amazing.
So I'm hoping to get him on the show, Scott, and tell us how he discovers things. He might have given me a little hint on a message a month or two ago, but we will see.
Yeah.
We will see. So here's another one of his images that was taken by I gotta look at the bottom here to find who to give the credit for this photo. Well, I guess that's Marcel Dreschler's as well. But yeah, see, it's
awesome
just
pictures.
there's too many to choose from. We have this beautiful image. You remember the first telescope we saw? This is John Hayes' image, and you know, he does some great work out in California.
Spectacular.
Look at the texture in there. That's amazing.
Oh, sorry, Cameron. Yeah, that's why I chose this one, Cameron, because the texture is phenomenal.
Do you know where this is? We should probably. Oh, this is awesome. Look at it. It's really 3D.
Yeah. This might. Well, no, I don't think that is the Christmas tree nebula. Now that I'm looking closer, I will have to report back to you, Captain Gillis. But we have now a Michael Feigenbaum photo. This is the. Well. Again, there's just so many objects out there, it's hard to remember.
It's called the antenna.
Tadpole,
The antenna.
I think? Yeah. So two beautifully interacting galaxies here. I believe this is in the ARP catalog. But Mr. Feigenbaum just gets tremendous details out in Arizona. And so you guys can see all of more of these photos from their Astrobin pages. And we got a few more, if I can get it to work. There we go. Okay, I shared this one. Most people have seen this image of the Whirlpool Galaxy M51, but I just hadn't really seen it done in black and white so beautifully. And so I did want to share with you all this one that the mothership was able to acquire as we were getting our coordinates. This is again Michael Feigenbaum, one of the best. And lastly, a very huge image, huge part of the sky. This man, Gotthard Strum, another German, and he takes tremendously deep photos of many galaxies, rarely imaged. You might find 2 or 3 photos of these galaxies that he's taken online. And just to let all of our passengers know. Go ahead, Cameron.
Oh, I just say I love these galaxy clusters.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should zoom in some of those parts. Yeah, that's really
yes.
cool. Love that. Look at that.
Oh, that S is beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
Gotthard has been inspiring me for quite a while. And our passengers should know he uses a DSLR camera. These are done with a DSLR. It's not cooled. He just takes the time and gets the image, and he's a great processor. So we have a ton of phenomenal astronomers from Germany, and so I will report that I'm not exactly sure when, but I've got a pretty good idea that Mr. Gerd Newman Jr. over from Astronomic Filters, we're going to get him on here pretty soon. But now I think this is the last of our photos, and we should. There we go. So we're gonna. I think. Oh no. So last one, another German. This is Mario Richter. So I'm filling you all up here with some pictures from Germany. But this is the Large Magellanic Cloud from Mario Richter, and he's another friend of mine. We've spoken quite a bit, and we're gonna get him on here soon too. So thank you, Mario, for sharing us the Large Magellanic Cloud. It's a great shot. And it's another new discovery here. They keep coming, and there's plenty out there. So get to work, guys. And And now we've got a picture of a star party. It looks really fun.
Yeah. Ross, you'd been talking about this Chapel Hill Astronomical and Observational Society, okay? And apparently they've got a special program. Give them all the details, Ross.
Sure. I would love to.
I'll share my screen if they're... Here, I'm going to interrupt yours.
Oh, yeah, get it. Yeah.
Here we go. And so they can see their website.
Yes. Well, first off, I love the name. Chapel Hill Astronomical and Observing Society, CHAOS for short. It certainly can feel chaotic up there. And they are having their annual Stanton River Star Party. It's a week-long event in their state park, the Stanton River State Park. People are going to be camping, and people are going to have telescopes up all week long. The dates are October 4th through October 10th. You can go to the website that Captain Roberts just shared, and that's where you can sign up for it. They have a Star Party tab up there on their page. Just click that, and you can sign up for it. I really want to go. It's 17 hours away from where I'm at currently, so I'm not sure I'll be able to make it, but you should, because for just a few extra bucks, you can get bottomless coffee. And every astronomer knows that is important, and they have a lot of other cool features like that. So please go check out the Chapel Hill Astronomical and Observing Society. See what chaos is going on over there. So,
okay.
Well, we're going to be done with our shout-outs now, I think. And I hope all y'all loved those pictures, and you're feeling good now, and now you're really ready to figure out how to take your own and figure out how to process them and put them together and try to replicate a little bit of what we saw today. And so I'm going to try to just take you through a little version of that. Now, there are many ways to do it, and mine is probably not the best, but you know, you learn it one way, and it's hard to forget it, and it's hard to change sometimes. So we're going to start with Deep Sky Stacker. Now, you guys should Google this if you haven't already, and you should download it. It's a free service, like many of these great astronomers, these great scientists. They have worked countless hours, and then they give their work away. So you should use it. It's free, and it's awesome. I'm going to show you a little bit how to use it right now. All right, so I think everybody can see Deep Sky Stacker has been pulled up on my screen. And what you will do, first thing, you might get some, if you try to stack without going to your settings, so options on the bottom left, you will see settings, and you click that raw fits DDP setting, okay? And then go over to the fits files, because that's probably what you're saving in. In this box, if you've got a colored camera, whether it's a DSLR or a colored CMOS or CCD camera, you want to click that. Okay, that is going to then run the de-Bayerization process that it's not going to do if that box is not clicked. So then if you're using a monochrome, make sure to unclick that box or you're going to have some strange colors. So do that. I've got it unclicked because the pictures we are going to be stacking today are monochrome. They're from the QHY 600, and they are also from probably my favorite telescope in the world, the 115 millimeter FPL 53F 5.5. And you know, to me, I would call it the FSQ 106 killer. It's got a bigger diameter, and you can put a 0.7 focuser on it and get almost as fast as that FSQ 106. And I like that it's got 9 millimeters of diameter, and so I love that. So we're going to stack some photos I took with this guy, and let you know, let you see how it's working. So you'll go up here, open picture files. Okay, and first just click open picture files, and it will bring it up. You can search where you want them, you choose them, open. I've already done that for you guys. And then you can add your darks, and your lights, and your dark flats, and your bias. I'm not a huge, I know they're needed, and I know you got to take them, but you know, I often don't. At 4 in the morning, I'm really normally too tired to take flats, and even if I have the flat thing and this QHY600, it's just such a phenomenal sensor that oftentimes, if you can get it down to negative 10 degrees Celsius, you really don't need darks. We've got a 600-second photo here at negative 10 degrees Celsius, and see if I can brighten it up. Okay, so yeah, there's the image itself, and we'll zoom in a little bit so you can get an idea of what just a single 10-minute photo is going to look like of IC63. So this is the ghost of Cassiopeia. It is an incredibly faint nebula, and we spoke on a previous show about how we really enjoyed having a big bright star and then a faint object next to it. It really tests your processing skills, your imaging skills, and what have you. So Gamma Cassiopeia is incredibly bright. It's this super bright star you see here, and just off to the top right, you will see the ghost of Cassiopeia, an H2 region. And so what you will notice, and you've seen a lot of these filter companies adapt, scopes are getting fast, and we are flying faster, and these filters, they're going to bend the light, and they might not work below f4, and we got this guy below f4 with our 0.7 reducer. So there is a little there is a little halo around Gamma Cassiopeia. There's 600-second exposures with the L Extreme filter from Optilong. So I guess I can tell you here, I would recommend that filter above an f4 speed. But so we're going to check all these photos. Let's check them all, because a lot of the times if you take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 180-second photos, you might have 100 of them, and you don't want to look through all of them. So you check them all, and then you click Register Checked Pictures. So we're going to register already checked pictures, because I've done this, but we'll go to Advanced, because sometimes maybe you're doing lucky imaging and you only have a second long exposure. You are going to need to click this Advanced button, and here's your star detection threshold. The lower you go, the more stars it will detect, and it needs to detect at least 20 some odd stars for you to be able to stack your image. But if you're using a 600-second exposure does not need a low star detection threshold. So we can just turn it up to 35. If you aren't getting good results, or if it's taking too long to register, you need to click Reduce the Noise by using a median filter. This is going to take the dark pixels and the hot pixels and not confuse them as stars. So let's click OK. It's going to run through. Now we did a higher detection threshold, so the stars need to be better for them to select them. It goes faster. But we still have 2 minutes to go. So we already registered them. You see what's happening. We're going to stop that. And now we'll see if it'll let me stop. Sometimes it, there we go. Okay. So let's look over here now and see what we got. You're going to have scores. Okay. Now I checked these off at the beginning, and these were not scored. So, but let's go look here at our scores. And NC, those were not counted, but these were. And our score range is everywhere from 12,000 all the way down to 1,200. And so one thing you do need to be careful of in Deep Sky Stacker is if your mount isn't performing well, it might jump. And then your picture might have 2 stars where the other picture only has 1. Deep Sky Stacker might count those twice. So one of your pictures might have a really high number, and then you go to stack, you spend all the time stacking, and you realize it's not a good stack because you didn't check your scores. And so it is always good to check your best picture. Make sure it's just 1 star for every 1 star, not 2 for every 1. And then what I like to do is go to my scores, see where the big drop-off comes. And so it could either be right here is where I would stop, or you see it goes from 1,800 to 5,000. That's pretty much the moon. The moon was coming up the other night at 1 a.m. So the moon is getting taller. It is taking out a lot of those faint stars that Deep Sky was picking up. So we'll select anything below that, highlight them all. We're going to uncheck these pictures. All right, now we've got these left over, and now remember, this is going to just be a picture without any calibration frames. And I want to show you how good it can be, even with such a faint target like the Ghost of Cassiopeia, if you're using the 115 FPL 53 5.5. And so let's stack them. Stack check pictures. Here it is right here where the mouse is moving. And you can go just recommended settings, or you can go into stacking parameters. Now, normally it is best just to stick with what Deep Sky Stacker has set up for you. But on occasion, if you have a bunch of photos, or if you are noticing you are not liking your results, come in here to your light mode, and you can mess around with these options. Kappa Sigma clipping is pretty standard. It's what I use almost all the time. Now, you do need a fair amount of photos to get the best result with Kappa Sigma clipping. I think here in this set we only have 12 photos. Probably not enough for the Kappa Sigma, so let's just go average. And the alignment, automatic. Your intermediate files. So it's going to get these photos ready for stacking, and it's going to actually create a second image of the picture you took and store it. So if you've got a ton of images, it can require a tremendous amount of space to get that final image. You can have images 50 gigabytes. But cosmetic is an important area here, and you can detect and clean the remaining hot and cold pixels. Now, if you make this value pretty strong, you are going to result in rings around the stars and results that you don't really want. So keep your effect pretty weak if you are going to select it at all. And then if you get good results, good. If not, mess around a little bit. Normally I don't have them selected. The QHY doesn't have a ton of problems. There are a few. And so we'll leave it selected here just for fun. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to click OK, and we are getting ready to stack now. We're stacking 9 images. I thought there were 12. So they're 10 minutes. This is an hour and a half, only an hour and a half on one of the faintest objects in Cassiopeia. And so we got a minute to kill a little bit of time. And so let me explain what is going on this desk. We've got three things here, and here is probably you've never seen an eyepiece this enormous in your life. I haven't. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say about this? It is the biggest thing anybody's ever seen. It is bigger than my little 200 millimeter focal length telescope. Weighs about 5 pounds. It is a beast, and it's our 100 degree 30 millimeter eyepiece. And you know, our guy that's in charge of Amazon and a lot of our sales, he brought a review to me from Quilter Mom on Amazon. And so I'll just read this review of this eyepiece, because this eyepiece is pretty much in a league and a class of its own. It's got the 3-inch barrel. And so you're going to have to get the special diagonal to adapt for it, a 3-inch diagonal. And, you know, so it's a big jump. But if you want something like a quilter mom saw, you're going to need it. And it's here for you. We've got them in stock. But so Quilter Mom says, my journey pretty much tells why I gave this 5 stars. Tonight I was splitting stars in Gemini at the end of a successful star party. Cheers broke out from the group of stargazers gathered around my telescope when I successfully split Castor to clearly reveal a relatively young pair of stars while using my new 100-degree eyepiece. Amazing optics, right? Cool that Castor is a rare sextenary star system, like 6 suns orbiting each other every 440 years. I've never seen this star. Maybe one of our guests, maybe one of the passengers on board, will take a picture of Castor and show us that sextenary star, because I've never seen it. I would love to see it. So passengers, somebody take a picture of this for me. And thank you, Quilter Mom. That's one of the best reviews I've ever read, and you know, 6, 7 stars reviews are great. So our image is done processing. Now you can, if you don't have any other processing things available to you, you can process and you can get a fairly decent image just with what Deep Sky Stacker has here. Now, so you see, this is your color. Now, for us, it's just black and white, and this is your bar that just kind of tells you how you are reacting to that color. So, if you don't have any other processing equipment, normally you make that steep, you make that right at the edge just a little bit. Always put your darkness to 100, and let's just see if that changes the image much. Not much. You know, you really are going to need some good tools for the more difficult objects. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to move on over, and I'm going to start sharing PixInsight, because I think that's what we all really want to see, is how to use PixInsight. So let's find out. And I am not the best person to show you PixInsight, but there are a few tools that I use rather successfully, and you know, it's how much time do you want to spend on it. I'm a dad with 2 kids, and I need to sleep sometime, and so I can't spend a ton of time editing my photos. I enjoy being out there and taking the photos, and whatever I get, normally I'm pretty happy with. Sometimes I get frustrated, but so here we have our image, our stacked image, and you don't see anything, right? It's nothing but a black image pretty much. So if we want to just check out what might this image look like when we get finished, you go over to Image, and to STF Auto Stretch. You can do a bigger auto stretch, the boosted. We're still not seeing much. We're seeing some vignetting. We're seeing a lot of stretch because I didn't get the spacing correctly on our reducer. That's very important, and especially as your f-speed decreases, your spacing needs to be exact. So we don't really care about the edges right now, and they don't look great because of me. But so we're going to go to Geometry right here. So you go to Processes, and then down to Geometry, and let's just crop that image. We're going to go, well, Dynamic Crop. Sorry. Dynamic Crop is much easier. So Geometry, Dynamic Crop. Let's just select the area we want, and then you click the check mark. It's going to crop. Now then you might try to do some other stuff, and then it will say, oh, you can't do it. Some dynamic windows open. There are a couple processes that are called dynamic, and if they're open, you can't do anything else. So we've cropped our image, and now the first thing that we want to do, since we don't have a colored camera, if you do have a colored camera, what I would recommend your first step doing is going to All Processes, go over here to SCNR, and you're going to reduce your green. Because as we know, the RGGB Bayer matrix is going to give you 2 green pixels for every red and for every blue. So you can get that green out of there, and to give you more of a real image. Move the eyepiece. There it goes. So, but then your first step after you do that is one of two things. Now, if you're in a time crunch, you are going to go to background modelization, and you're going to click automatic background extractor. It works pretty good 90% of the time. But if you've got an image like Douglas Struble that you spent an hour or 100 hours integration time, you're going to want to go to that dynamic background extractor. I'll show you what it is here real quick. I'm not going to use it because you can really spend a lot of time getting that background perfect. But what you do, you'll click your image, you've got it here. You're going to go to model parameters and sample generation. Okay, so you can generate them on your own, and then it's going to show you that. You're going to want to take out more background than that, and so you can go, you zoom in, and if you want to spend all the time in the world going around and clicking every little spot that does, oh, there's a star, you see, that's not a good one. Get out of there. So you're going to want to go around and click any spot that doesn't have a star and that you don't think has nebula. If the squares are not showing up in this color, this kind of black and white non-color, if they're showing up in a red, I believe it is, then what you do, go over to your tolerance here. After you've clicked your boxes, they're on the corners where it's really bright or where it's really dark. They're not going to choose that background sample. So just for fun, you go over to tolerance, click 1. You can go to shadow reduction, put it at 6. It doesn't really matter. You've already clicked your spots. You just want the program to say, oh, those spots are okay now. And then once you change those, your spots that you clicked that were not going to be extracted from the background will then be extracted. And then you run it and your image will be great. But we're not going to do that because we don't have all the time to do it. So let's just go to a regular background, do the automatic background extractor, and pretty much you will just go to target image correction on the drag down box here. You're going to go to subtraction, and a lot of people want to look at their background model and see did it do it right? Did it do it like I think it should? I don't normally. I just know, like, does the picture look a lot better? Normally it does. So we're going to discard the background model, but I'll show you guys what it looks like. So we'll click, and we are removing the background. So here is the background. We can do an auto stretch and show you what it removed. So this is what it removed from the image, and now if we do a STF boosted auto stretch, you're going to see the ghost of Cassiopeia loud and clear. And so we can zoom in, just give you a little idea. That's all it took. That's all it took to bring this out, just clicking a few buttons. An hour and a half with our 115mm telescope. But you know, we'll still run through a few processes. And so what you do now, we don't need to color calibrate it because it's not color, it's black and white. But you would then, at this point, you would go to color calibration, assisted color calibration, or if you were feeling really cool, you're going to go to photometric color calibration. And this one's awesome because it's the way it should be. And so you are going to add in the date you observed. You're going to add in the focal length of your telescope and the pixel size of your sensor. And then you're going to, you can go to search coordinates. You can say IC63, and we're going to search. And we're searching in France now at Strasbourg. We can search in a few, we can search in Harvard too. I don't know who you guys trust more. I think they're both probably pretty good. But that's how you do a photometric color calibration, and it is it's the best of the color calibration. So that's what I would recommend if you can get it to perform successfully. Sometimes it doesn't. But then after you calibrate the color, you're gonna don't forget to where are we here? Color. Yeah. Then neutralize your background. Super easy. Most people don't even know what happens. Now, it popped up. This is only for color images, so we don't need to do that here either. Then normally what I do is, well, Ezekiel told us it is all about star mask in a few episodes ago, and that's true. But star masks are hard, and there are pages that will show you how to do the star mask well. Normally, with deconvolution, you do want a star mask, but sometimes you can be successful without one. Deconvolution is just kind of an image sharpening thing. It figures out what the sensor is really trying to say. And you can either do it in the luminance channel or the RGB channel as well. Just make sure you click the de-ringing box, and you're going to have to mess around with your global darks, and normally you're going to bring it down low. So you're going to want this to be like 0.02, 0.03, 0.04. It's different for every image, and that's why PixInsight can really take a lot of time finding where you need to go. But a global bright, you might keep it at 0, or you could keep it at 0.1, but you want it low. Your noise reduction here is critical as well. If you keep this noise reduction at 1, your stars might look a little funny. I like to try to bring it down to 90, and I turn it up to 4 and just keep the other ones. I don't know what it does, but I like it. And so we'll see if we get any rings around our stars, but let's zoom in so we can see if it actually does make this nebula a little bit better. And I will tell you, for time, what you'd want to do is make a small little box. A lot of our files are really big, and you don't know if this deconvolution is going to even make your picture look good. And sometimes it can take 20 minutes to run the process. So what you would do normally is you click, I think it's this one. Nope. It's one of these.
Yeah, these deconvolutions, there's a ton of math going on to make this work. And this was, I'm not sure what flavor of deconvolution this is exactly, but what was called MED, or maximum entropy deconvolution software, was used on the Hubble Space Telescope before it got its optics corrected. So they were coming up with a model of what the star should look like and rebuilding the star. And by doing that across the images, the image really sharpened up. Now you can take an image that's correctly focused and do that process again and come up with something that's really stunning.
That's fascinating, Scott. Yeah, we're using processing tools that were first employed by the Hubble Space Telescope.
Yeah.
We are really lucky. So what I did, I clicked this, so then I could make a smaller box. So I can practice now. It's not going to take as long. And so we'll see. Oh, okay, it brightened the stars, made the stars a little brighter. It's kind of hard to tell. It went so fast because I made it small. But we'll go image. Edit. Well, sorry guys. Oh yeah, so we'll undo deconvolution. I didn't see a huge change, but it might give you a little bit something better. You know, people really they're really looking for that pixel quality and making every little bit better that they can. So after you've done a decent deconvolution, I can't really say we have a decent one here, but I'll do it, and so we can get a final image for our passengers. It's going through. Now you see it takes a lot more time because I didn't just have that little box selected. So it's got to run through the 10 iterations. You can do 20, you can do 1,000. It will tell you when it has converged. So it essentially is saying that it's not going to do any more, that it's not improving the image anymore. But now we're done in just a moment here. Okay, our image is done now. The stars are brighter. A lot of people don't like that, but you know, we're going to live with it for now, and we'll be all right. Then what I would do next, normally, is we can go to noise reduction. I really enjoy multi-scale linear transformation. And essentially, this is kind of a noise reduction, but not too much. This is before you've stretched the picture. So click linear. If you don't, your results aren't going to be as good. But you can click noise reduction, click a few things, make a small box, click it and try. PixInsight is hard, and each image requires a little bit different adjustments. But this one's good because you can click this circle, and this circle means you're going to get a preview of what it will look like when you're done. And now a lot of these changes are very small, and you need to be quite zoomed in for them. But multi-scale linear transformation is a really nice one, and it will help get a lot of the noise out of your image. But what I can tell you is our picture really doesn't look like this yet. If I save this image, we're just going to have a black image, essentially. We'll go back to all processes now and screen transfer function. That's what we have done. We have done the screen transfer function, but if you click this box, it'll bring them all back to where it started. And then you can click it here. That's how our image still looks, even after the deconvolution and the automatic background extraction. We've still got this image. And thankfully, we had a guest come on. The head of astrophotography at Kitt Peak Observatory came on our show. And he told us about a new function that I've been using, and I think it's pretty fun, and he could probably use it better than I can, certainly, but it's arc Sine Stretch. Now, another way you could do this is you go to Intensity Transformations, and you would do a masked stretch. Masked stretches are great too, but since this is a new tool and it is super easy to use, we can just play around with it and see how it works. So on our arc Sine Stretch, we can take our stretch factor, and you see now the image is getting lighter. We are getting a bigger stretch on it, and we can get it just about as light as we want. Here is our black point, so we are going to increase. Okay, so once you stretch so much, this black point becomes very sensitive. If you cross it, the image isn't going to look good. So we've probably did a little too much stretch. So we'll bring our stretch down. If I can click that little box. Here we go. Okay, we'll leave our stretch there. Okay, yeah, so we are pretty close. Now, you see how quick that's moving. We are already pretty close to clipping the blacks. So let's move that one just a little bit. That's the fine tuning, kind of like your fine focus adjustment knob. And we'll live with that stretch for now. So we click our box, we are rocking and rolling, and now this is what our image really looks like. Next step I do, just real quick, we go back to intensity transformation. We do a curve transformation. When you use a color image, this is great, so you can go here and bring your RGB colors down. So like if a background has some strange colors in it, you can get that out by lowering it right here. But an incredible feature here is on a color image, you would click the L, and this is your lightness channel. That is that's going to bring out all the structure and the things that you see. So what I really enjoy you doing is increasing this while decreasing the color, the representation of the color. And then let's just see. Now we don't have any color. So let's go here. We'll get an idea. Image. Undo that curve transformation because that didn't look very good. Let's start over. And we'll go on our luminance channel because it's black and white anyway. Oh, well. Pardon me. No. We're going to get it to change one of these times here. Okay, so there you see it's changing. And what I'm going to do now, that's all right. You know, a lot of people really want that dark background. I want to see those clouds. And so for now, because we're not done editing, for now.
Ross, just a quick question.
Sure.
Harold Locke is watching on YouTube, and he wanted to know if this program has the Hubble color palette.
Oh yeah. So the Hubble color palette is what you'll do. Now you can stack in PixInsight, and that is supposed to work really well. As Douglas Struble said last week, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I learned on Deep Sky Stacker because it was free and PixInsight is not, and Deep Sky Stacker is very user friendly. So I haven't changed from that. But you can have, and what you would do, I can't remember who asked the question, Captain? Okay, well, Carol, I believe her name was. So Carol, what you would do is you're going to stack your narrowband images separately, okay? And then you're going to have at least 3 separate images. You might have a luminance channel. You might have some for RGB stars. But if we're just going to work in the narrowband, if we're just going to work in hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur, then you're going to have 3 pictures. And what you will do, you go over here to Processes, All Processes, because it's easier to find this one that way. And you are going to go to Star Alignment. And you will have your reference image. And so it's a view. We can click down here, and we can select which view we're going to use as our reference image. We got it. And now we're going to add the other 2 files. Now, reference image, I'd suggest your hydrogen alpha channel. That's going to have the most, normally that's going to have the most signal. So I'd use that as your reference image. And then you can select your other 2 images that you want it to line up with. You put them in there, and you go. So then it's going to create 2 new images that are positioned where they need to be. One thing you might run into, Carol, one error that you might run into is when you stack in Deep Sky Stacker, depending on your stacking parameters, you could either have it stacking as a mosaic, you could have it stacking as only the part of the image that was there in every photo, so teeny bits on the edges could be off, or you could stack just based on the reference image and only it's going to be there. But oftentimes your final picture, the one that Deep Sky Stacker produces, is going to be a different size from the, so your hydrogen might be slightly different in pixels than your oxygen or sulfur. So you would go then back over to dynamic crop. You will go back over to dynamic crop. You can choose the size you want. Get them all the same size, because it's not going to line them up if they're not all the same size. Then you do it, you align them, then you go over here to Processes, Carol, and you are going to go to Channel, I believe it's Channel, Channel Management. And here is how we create that Hubble palette. So green is hydrogen in the Hubble palette, but not in real life. And red is the sulfur in the Hubble palette, and that is red in real life, and that's why they separate them, because the those 2 strong channels in the red, you wouldn't be able to differentiate them. What some of our passengers might know is there is another channel in that red that you can get with the 3 nanometer filters that Douglas Struble has, and that's the it's the N. I think that's nitrogen. I am not the scientist of the ship, but then you would put them in there and you would combine them. And then you've got your Hubble palette, Carol, and you're ready to go. After you combine them, then you can do a background extraction. Your background is going to be kind of funny because one picture is going to have a much bigger signal, normally the hydrogen alpha, than your others. But a background extraction, like we showed here earlier, is going to take out that color and leave you what you want with the strong greens and the blues and the reds. But so what we are going to do now, and if you have a luminous channel, Carol, real quick, you would go then to color spaces, not channel management, but you would go to color spaces, and you would do the LRGB combination. A lot of the times people will add their hydrogen alpha into the luminous channel to give it more pop. So that is certainly an option for you to do as well. But so we are going to save this image that we just created here. Now it's not done yet. It's almost done. But we're going to save this at, oh, yeah, I did save it. I did save it just earlier. But we are saved here as Focus on Astrophotography. It's going to be easier. I'll just save it to the desktop. Episode 9. And we'll save. Okay, so now we're saving. And what I do, and this is quick. I mean, this is all I do. Now I'll stop sharing. I'll re-share again with Lightroom. And Lightroom's super easy. You run a few things, and you are good to go. So let me open Lightroom on the computer before I start sharing it, and we will be good to go. But yeah, imaging processing, you can spend as much time or as little time as you want. You can take calibration photos, or you don't have to. The dynamic background extractor, if you want to spend the time, can do a lot of work that the calibration photos do. I've got my Lightroom open now. I'm going to add the photo real quick that we just took. View for import. Add that one photo. Okay, so I'm going to come back and screen share again, guys, and show you the final steps to getting that picture. And it will just take a second. If you are getting bored with this, I apologize. But okay, so now we've got our image. We're ready to do some editing. You can mess around with the exposure. You can mess around with the contrast. Ooh, that's kind of nice. And you just kind of see what works. So highlights, you know, I don't know what our passengers prefer in an image, but you can definitely change it up and get it to where you want. So I do a little bit of that, but the main thing that I do here is I will do some clarity. I'll increase the clarity. Now that's going to brighten your stars, so sometimes when you increase the clarity, you're going to want to go back to your whites or your highlights and lower those. I increase the clarity, I sharpen it a little bit, and then the main thing I do is that noise reduction. And that's what some people will say is painting. Some people will call that cheating. Because as PixInsight, and we learned, it will do it to the whole image, and you can actually go back and still calculate your numbers to retrace your steps to that original image, and it's not considered painting. But on an image with a lot of nebula, this is a great tool, the noise reduction. And that's it. We're done. I've got my image. This is 90 minutes, and we're gonna.
Hey Ross.
We're gonna export.
Ross, this is Paul. I've been running the.
Oh, it's our chief of the boat.
The chief of the boat. I'm running the cameras in Lightroom. Did you close Lightroom already?
I got.
There's one more thing that you can do in Lightroom.
Oh, tell me, because yes.
So yeah, this is where I specialize. I'm not an astrophotographer, but I am a professional photographer and video guy. So if we go back to the exposure settings.
Yes.
Go ahead and hit cancel on your exposure. Yeah, there we go. So if you go down, you hit the point curve.
Point curve, yes sir.
Right, you go down here. No, just, yeah, pull
my
that.
screen is blocking it.
Go back up.
Up. Is it the color?
Keep going.
Point curve. There it is.
That is the same curves that you had in the other program, and you're going to find that you can control, even in a black and white image, you can control by moving the reds, greens, or blues. You can control what you're seeing,
even
how you're seeing it.
Okay.
Because even though it's gray,
wow,
exactly.
Okay.
So you can go in there and you can pull those in and out and get your contrast better. When you do that S curve, like you were trying to do earlier, where you pull down the darks and up on the lights, that's called a contrast curve. And if you're a photographer, you've done anything in here, you know exactly what that is. But the contrast curve is going to give us a little bit more detail. Okay. And so you can go through.
Well, I did not know.
The overall is the little white circle, and the white circle is where you're going to want to go to. If you're having a little trouble with noise, before you do noise reduction, you pull that bottom left down.
Pull the bottom.
Go to the bottom left.
Okay. Oh yeah, and get it
and then
close.
pull that down. Go. Yeah, there you go. And that'll get rid of some of that sensor noise for you as well. Anyway, so I just thought I'd jump in on Lightroom there and give you a couple extra tips.
Yeah. You know, I'm very basic at all the stuff I do here. but we'll save it, and we're gonna send this picture, to whoever wants it. You guys can edit it. I can send you the raw file, and you can edit it yourself. I don't know if any Explore Alliance Platinum members would like this picture, but they are certainly welcome to it. And that's I'm gonna stop sharing now, because that's how I edit a photo, and I love it because I can't spend a ton of time. The time I spend is outside. It's under the stars, and it's looking up. As Scott says at the end of every show, it's looking up. So, well, I do hope now, and I'm not sure if he's still driving, but I do hope Sergeant Gillis can come on board and tell us a little something about that he's been doing this past week. There he is. Here's our man.
Hey guys. Okay, Petty Officer Gillis here.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So thanks a lot, guys. So yeah, that was a great show, and I just a couple of comments. Obviously those pictures earlier, just stunning. I love to just drink those in and look at them in detail, and it's really impressive. And the PixInsight tutorial, I think it's really good when you can take a complex a tool like that and pick a couple of key tools and keep so that people can kind of dip their toes and get some quick wins, if you will, right? So that they can say, okay, I'm going to use this, and then you can start to do the more advanced stuff. But I think that's good stuff, Ross. Keep it up, and that's good.
Hard. And it
is, and I so hard I haven't even started. so I think the other part is I wanted to you made a comment about flats and calibration frames and darks. Mm-hmm. I think that flats and cool cameras. So just a couple of comments on that. Flats, I think you can take those anytime. They don't have to be at temp. So those ones require the most calibration, right? You have to be able to get those nicely set up, and then basically you can use the monitor technique, or you can use the sky and pillow technique,
Can I ask you, because I do know that you experimented a lot with flats. One thing that I have heard is that they might not need to be at the same time, but your focus and your knobs, they need to be in the same spot.
Oh, yes. Yeah, your image frame, if you change anything, including filters, right, you need to have flats exposure based on the type, because the filters have different amount of light that they let in. Therefore, the offset for the flat will be different for every filter and for every focal length that you put in. So anything you change in the image train, you're going to want to have flats for that. And here's the other thing: even if you have done it and you decide to go back to that, let's say you change the filters and you go to visual, or you have a different focal reducer or different, and then you go back to it a couple of nights later. The problem is maybe there's a piece of dust that entered the image stream, or maybe it's when you look at it, it's a little bit offset centered, so it's no longer the big netting is a little bit off centered compared to before. There's a lot of
rotates at all. I know that's
your camera rotates.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right on. So pretty much what you'll want to do is you actually want to do your flats before the day before you do any during the day. I think I would say before you actually do the touch your image train and you take your pictures. The darks, depending on the exposure time, those ones you want to do at temp because that's the noise and stuff and the bias. And those ones you'll want to do with a cool camera. To your point, Ross, the cool camera really helps you. You can do those in the day with a cool camera because you can adjust the temperature to a calibrated level. So you don't have to do it after night. That's the advantage of a cool camera. Whereas if you have an uncooled camera, like I have, you pretty much you're gonna either live with the extra noise, right, or you're gonna have to take the picture of the darks at the same time or at the same temp. So what you might want to have in that case is have a different, within 5 degrees Celsius type of thing, maybe a couple of degrees Celsius, you might have different sets of darks at different temperatures based on the temperature of the night and all that kind of stuff. If you really want to, muck around with that with an uncooled camera. But that's the advantage of the cooled camera, because you don't have to do that. So anyhow, that was my 2 cents there. So kind of one thing I wanted to just end the show, my little 2 cents for this week is I've got a new my beautiful new PMC8 Exos 2 equatorial mount.
You got
and,
it.
Yeah, I got it. I tell you, I am so happy. It's awesome. And I'm going through the learning curve, relearning equatorial mounts and stuff. And, Kent and Scott have been helping me along the way as I'm figuring that out and learning about cone error and all that type of stuff, drift alignment and all that. And let me just share my screen here, and that'll help me describe.
On Tuesday, Cameron, at the Global Star Party, hosted by Captain Roberts, you were on and you showed some pictures of Andromeda that I was quite impressed with.
Oh yeah, no, thanks a lot. Let me. Oops, sorry, I got back here. Okay, this is the one. Yeah, does it go back? And I go presentation mode. Well, that's going to go to the beginning. Ooh. Let me just go to the bottom here. Okay, so
you do so much work, Cameron. I am so impressed.
No, thanks. So can you see my screen? Can you see my presentation? Okay, great. So this is how I started out, and just to quickly, refresher, a smartphone basic setup, an alt-azimuth go-to mount. Okay, so you can take images pretty much up to 30 seconds. This smartphone with an S8 gives you a 10-second exposure, so you're always within the limit before you have, you start to having image rotation and stuff like that. This is my more advanced, where I got a better dedicated astronomy camera, image train, and all that kind of stuff. Wi-Fi to be able to basically use these tablets to control the mount, and also so kind of improve my workflow from an imaging perspective, just with an alt-azimuth mount. But again, you're limited to about 30 seconds. Once you go to above 30 seconds, your altitude or your azimuth does a correction, and you have jaggedy stars. Or if you're able to get a number of stacked images, your field starts to rotate, and you have to deal with those issues. But at least you can get all the electronics and the back end side all set up, and that helps you along the way. And then finally, I've got my, like I said, I got my my Exos 2. I've got it all set up with the same scope, but this time what I've done is I piggybacked. I have a Mach 102, and the advantage of that, what I was doing in the last
How much
week
weight
here.
is that, Cameron?
Yeah, let's do the math. I know Scott asked me earlier, and Kent, let me just tell you, the OTA for the C8 is 12 pounds. I don't have the HD model, so it's 12 pounds. The OTA of the Skywatcher Mach 102 is about 5 pounds. It's actually pretty light. It's not bad. Okay. But then you add the eyepieces. It looks big, and then so you add it all up with all the accessories, the extra dovetail, the diagonals and all that. It probably, and you put a couple, 2-pound, 2-inch eyepieces. It will be. You're going to be within 20 pounds probably, easily. But what I want to do, and what I'm getting down in the queue here, is where the second dovetail, which is opposite to the mount dovetail, that where the Mach 102 is mounted to right now. I'm going to get some Lossman D rings and my ED80. I'm going to put my ED80 as a wide field, so I'll both have a wide. It's going to be a beautiful setup. And right now, the beauty of that is initially it's really fun to be able to just visually pop between two scopes that are pointing right, at the same object or to the same area, and look at two different fields of view pretty quickly. So your mind and your observation is calibrated. It also helps you compare the view and set your expectations. So when you find, for example, the 12th magnitude galaxy in your 8-inch at a higher power, and then you start to do the wide field, you start to see, with averted vision, you actually know where you're looking with your visual plate solved. And it makes it really very fun. It's really fun to be able to look at that. Also, the atmospheric disturbance effects, you can see the difference. You can measure the atmospheric disturbance level much better. So there's a lot of advantage, but the biggest thing is I'm learning, like I said, I'm relearning equatorial mount and polar alignment and all that, so that I can get my my tracking. The tracking is not is beautiful. I mean, the way this mount works with BMCA, just really tight, really works really well. I'm at 47 degrees north latitude, so I've got this at 47 degrees, the axis. So basically, as long as I'm generally in that area, I think Scott brought it out before, is, you know, this is not, from astrophotography perspective, any equatorial mount is not a plug and play thing. You want to do it in chunks. But what you can do is right off the bat, one of the biggest things about equatorial mounts is, regardless if you're just using it for visual, you could just plunk it down. If you have the polar alignment, or sorry, the polar axis at your latitude, you just basically get generally there. It will already, right off the bat, you just plug in the power, it will, the right ascension motor will automatically track at sidereal rate, and you can just visually rotate it wherever, and then you can track on an object. It's beautiful. So right away, even as a beginner, that would be my first recommendation. Is I was saying the other day, this is not a beginner setup, but if you are a beginner and you happen to have an equatorial mount, stick with the basics. You know, just make sure that you get that latitude correct, pointed at that North Star roughly, and then you'll be able to at least enjoy the tracking capability very nicely. And that's very nice, because a lot of times you just want to take a picture, especially with planets. You know, I was looking at Jupiter the other day. You just want to plunk it down. You want to point. You can point it very. You don't have to worry about go-to. You just, oh, there's Jupiter, very bright. Get it in the eyepiece and bang, and then you just lock it in, and it's tracking. So you can really enjoy the high power views and switching eyepieces and stuff. So that is really enjoyable. So basically, I'm learning how to do the quick setup, getting my workflow right up, because what I'm ultimately going to be doing is, like I say, I'm going to have my two scopes here that you see, except it's going to be an ED80 in the future, and then I'm going to switch between. Initially, I just have one imaging camera, of course. It's an ASI 294, and I'm going to either put it on the long focal length C8, or I'm going to put it on the wide field ED80. And then on the other scope, I'll use that for just visual, to be able to enjoy visually while I'm taking the images, for example, right? And then in the future, down the road, obviously, I'm already looking at higher resolution cameras, larger image sensors, you know, APS-C size and all that kind of stuff, for even wider field and higher resolution. But very, very expensive. But eventually, once I get trained up enough with the basic setups, this is already getting intermediate level. You can start to, then I would like to have two image trains, right? One on my ED80, one on my C8, and do parallel.
Help you, because I wanted that too, and I have two cameras now, and
yes,
it is cool when you have the time to get it to work,
yes,
and to get both focus, but man, it does make things much more time consuming. But no, I'm right with you there, Cameron, and just wanting to get as much data and photos as you can.
Thank you. And this is what I've done. I've kind of ebbed and flowed, and that's a good advice from somebody who's went down that road. I'm thinking that, like I say, I'm enjoying just the visual. I'm going to do a hybrid approach with the imaging, and then, but to your point, yeah, that would be what I would do. In that case, I would use the one imaging system more as a kind of EAA, to be able to enjoy the visual experience while I'm doing it, not collecting data necessarily, but just more just like, this is really nice, you know, take some live stacking and stuff while I'm taking my, you know, my heavy duty processed image that's going to be hours of data.
Yeah.
I can do that. So
I think that's a great idea, and especially for you, Cameron, because you've got, you know, you have all these fans now, so I'm sure somebody wants to be on that EAA with you, man, and watch you.
Thanks.
Yeah. You have definitely put in the work.
Well, actually, there's another camera that you want to add to this that I was thinking, is just have a wide field, like binocular, even wider, so that you can even do like your multi-star alignment. You just plop in the camera, or kind of an all-sky camera, so that you can basically see the orientation of clouds or where you're pointing, and then literally you can do all your alignments, your realignments, everything just remotely, and then do it that way. So there's lots of ideas going through my head, but again, this is why I'm taking this journey in slowly but surely, and enjoying the journey as we go, adding bits and pieces as we go through, and sharing the experience.
Climbing up the learning curve, Cameron.
Yes, you got it.
Learning curve.
Yep. So that's my update for this week. So thank you.
Hey, Cameron.
Keep
looking so much.
Yep. And you guys can watch for Cameron on Wednesdays on his Camstronomy program. Of course, he's also here on Focus on Astrophotography each Friday, and often on Global Star Party on Tuesdays. So there you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
Cameron,
thanks, Rob.
We're really lucky to have you, Petty Officer. Gil is always going
lucky
deep.
to find you guys. It's great.
Always taking us deep. And so I'll go ahead and just let everybody see again, because Cameron, a few episodes ago, showed us how awesome it is just to actually see the before and after. And this isn't exactly the before and after. It's before we got to the Lightroom, but you can see this is just a straight stretch without any processing. And then this is the little processing from PixInsight. So just a little bit can really go a long ways. And
that is awesome. And, this is a very subtle, sorry to interrupt. I wanted to comment on this, but this is a major feat to be able to capture this ghost of Cassiopeia or whatever. This is really a tough one. Yeah. It very nicely done. Good image processing.
Man, thank you. I felt the same way, and I know my Gamma Cassiopeia is not the best star there, but what I would do in the future to get more data is I would take some shorter exposures. I would finally spend some time on getting the mask correct, and maybe then we would get rid of that halo and still have all those beautiful clouds. But last week, while all of our passengers were sleeping, the sailmaker very rarely sleeps, and he's been doing a lot of work, so I'm going to tell you about what's going on last week, and we'll get ready for next week, and then we'll go. So story time, and we're not going to get lost this time, thankfully. But so this week I got a call. Well, last week I got a call, and this week I was able to go to the Pittman's house. And Mr. Pittman called me, and he had bought his wife a 152 millimeter telescope, and he had a big Skywatcher EQ6R Pro mount under it, and yeah, our 152 Explore Scientific on top. And he calls and he says he just couldn't figure it out, and I had to come down there and help him. And money wasn't an issue, and so I said, okay, I'll be there. And no, Mr. Pittman was a great guy, and if any of y'all feel the same way and you're not too far away, I can drive down and we can spend a night looking at the stars together too, because it's certainly fun, and it's certainly fun getting to meet all of our other astronomers out there. And if money's not an issue, you can fly me, and we can hang out together. So I know a lot of our astrophotographer friends have been working hard their whole lives and have gotten paid for it. So, but another thing that happened this week that I'm super excited about, and it's kind of another shout out, is to Precise Parts. If you know, and you might get an adapter for an adapter's adapter, and you just have to keep adapting everything to get it all to fit together. Well, if you can't figure it out, Precise Parts can. They made a special adapter for my little 200 millimeter telescope here, and this is a Borg, and Borgs are cool because they're modular. You can take them apart. They're easy to take with you. But honestly, this is a 200 millimeter focal length. You don't need to take it apart. It's already small enough. It's a feature I'm not in love with, but this is the adapter I got from Precise Parts. It screws right into the front here, and then it's able to hold an M72 filter, and I can put that on the front. Now, a guy on Instagram, his name is Octan's Lab, he's got the same scope, and he 3D printed a dew shield. And just because astrophotographers are cool people, he sent me that file for free. And so hopefully we will get some of these big, awesome 3D printers we have running 24/7 here. We might be able to stop it and get a dew shield, or we'll figure out some other way. But hoping to get a dew shield, and in your scope, it's got the electronic focuser. You know, it becomes one of a kind. We've got the Starizona filter slider. These are good. My only complaint is that, you know, if you're trying to take darks and it's light outside, light will creep in on some of the edges. So I'm not sure if any other filter sliders do that, but it is something to take note of. And so what I will wrap that filter slider occasionally just to make sure nothing else gets into it. But if you live too far away, if money is an issue, then what I recommend doing is going to explorescientific.com. We have mentorships available from the great Gary Palmer, and he's got a whole astrophotography course, and the prices are unbelievable. So you should definitely take advantage of that if you want. If you don't have time for all the trial and error, the 3 years of trial and error that it took me, and you're ready to go and you're ready to learn now, go to our website, and Gary Palmer will make it happen for you. But our story's short, and it really comes from my neighbor, a legend, Naoto Sekiguchi. And he was feeling kind of sad, and he's been feeling kind of sad lately. And you know, Douglas Struble and I, he named that Planetary Nebula, and I thought, you know, why not? Why not? Let's start naming some stuff. So Naoto was feeling pretty sad. His dear friend had recently passed away, and so we were talking about astronomy, and he told me his sister knew Mr. Dobson, Mr. John Dobson, quite well, and he came and stayed with her numerous times in Oregon, and I think the synchronicity is fantastic. But my neighbor was good friends with Mr. John Dobson, and so because he was feeling sad, his friend had just passed away, and we know that stars are where our stories and our memories are attached to. And our memories just aren't as good these days. We've got cell phones and we have everything else to help us to remember things. We can go and see 1,000 pictures that we took 10 years ago. So, you know, maybe our memories are beginning to fail us. And, you know, a long time ago, people would have Homer's Odyssey completely memorized. But they still wanted to put these stories up in the stars because they know that's how they're going to be remembered, and that's how they're going to keep living. And so I took a big 127 ED telescope that we were certifying to sell, and I took it over to Naoto's house, and we pointed it up, and he's got a bunch of trees. He lives next to me, and we all battle those oak trees, those Arkansas oak trees, and he just had a little spot where we could point the telescope through. And there's only one bright star right there, right through this little hole. And so we pointed it up there, and that star, its name now is Samantha Frixo Zagallo. And every time Naoto goes outside, he's going to remember her. And I think that's great. And, you know, me too now, because every time I go outside and I look up and I see the summer triangle, and I see Vega, and I see Deneb, I see that third star, and I think of Samantha. And I don't even remember what its name is now. So, guys, thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for continuing to stay on board the mothership. You can name the stars, and that's what I suggest you to go do. Go out there, find a star, and give it to somebody. Give it to your memory, and keep them there. Keep them there, because they're going to keep shining. And next week is really the real week. We're going to get the legendary Hubble on, and we're going to talk about stellar imaging errors that make your his title is Taxonomy of Stellar Imaging Errors. I had to translate it for you guys. I know there's pretty much two types of astrophotographers. There's the explorers and there's the scientists, and we come together here at Explore Scientific. So I've translated his scientific work of expertise into a language for the explorers. So tune in next week, guys. We cannot wait to see you.
Great. Hey, thanks very much, Ross, and also to you, Cameron. Of course, Monday is a holiday here in the United States, and Explore Scientific will be off during that day. But we will be back on Tuesday for the next Global Star Party, so tune in for that. We'll also have some afternoon programming that day too. So you guys have a great weekend. I hope you're enjoying it with your friends and family as much as you can, and be safe out there. And good night.
Night. Thanks, Captain Roberts. Thanks, Mr. Gills.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
And good night, everybody in the audience. Thanks for watching. Good night. Take care.
Good night. Hey, one quick question, Scott.
Okay.
Is Gary? Yeah, he's. I haven't seen him on the shows for a while. I guess he's really busy or something. Or
Gary Palmer. Yeah, we
Gary
reach
Palmer,
out to him and get him back on the program. So
yeah, listen, he's a good guy. So
he is a good guy.
yeah. Okay. Thanks. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.